Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Zoo and Co. show. I'm Zaiyou, and back in my company today, I've got Cassidy. Say hello, Cass. That
Hello.
concludes the audio check that we've already done 10 times earlier. Did you know, actually, that you are
Listen,
a heavily requested appearance on the show? I get DMs on the social media platforms. Get Cassidy back on the
no,
show.
you don't.
I thought she was.
No, you don't.
I thought she's your co-host. Why it's been like 3 episodes and
I
she
think
hasn't
I'm
been on.
pretty.
Get her back.
No. I'm pretty sure it's just people trolling you.
It's
Nah.
not true.
What do I even say? Last time I called him a bitch. Like, you just want to see that? Probably,
People are into
actually.
that apparently. That's what
I don't know.
gets the algorithm going. I do actually have people asking for you to come back, but you know
Really?
what? Yeah, I do.
Damn.
Well, popular popular appearance.
No.
We forgot to start the timer again. We are going to go through some housekeeping things at the start because Cassidy wants to, and this is where all of our jokes come out before we settle into the serious topics. So, what do you want to comment on in my background this time, Cass?
No, it's nothing bad this time. Not joking about you getting kicked off the bed. Although I could.
Didn't
I
happen,
like
by
the
the way.
painting.
The painting by my sister, who was 11 at the time and is now 12. Uh, a birthday gift, I believe. Yeah,
Alright.
and it matches the soundproofer, which I
Yeah.
just realized.
Yeah, so is this gonna be like a new thing? Like every couple of weeks, you're just gonna have something new on the wall, or
Well,
just like,
yeah, I do want to decorate this a little bit after my episode with Emma, who's literally just in the other room over there because she's my roommate. Her room, like the
hmm.
setup looked so much cozier. She had like a bed in the background, like the nice
I mean,
bookshelf.
you are in a closet,
Yeah,
literally.
this is like a really tiny den. So I'm planning on some lights, so I'm in better lighting. I want a warmer glow to this complexion. Some
Fair,
maybe
fair,
LEDs, the usual gamer stuff. So I
fair,
have
fair.
some purple lights in the background.
Every TikTok user ever.
Yeah, I could put up some fairy lights that I bought for my university dorm a couple years ago. I'll be like a Tumblr girl.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And I want to
Yes.
put something over the fuse box, but like I don't want to cover it with like a painting because I need to access the fuse box sometimes. So I'm not sure. I'm
Right. So,
undecided
what are
on
you
that one.
thinking? What are you thinking? Well, I mean,
I was thinking a banner,
I just want to bait you into saying
something made out of
we were talking
cloth.
about this before we started.
Yeah, I'm
So
not gonna say
Zai's
it.
like, I'm thinking of like a banner of some like anime, and I was like,
Okay.
hmm,
Well, there it is.
I'll know what type of merch you could buy.
Yeah. Well, it's out. Yeah, some anime banner behind me, or some custom
Which
channel merch.
anime?
I haven't decided yet
Which
because
anime?
I don't know what's available. I've only watched two in their
I thought you were gonna
entirety,
say, oh,
and I'm like
hey, that's enough.
a fan of a bunch that I just haven't like watched all the way through because I want to binge them, or I've already read the manga, so I didn't bother to watch the anime.
That is fair. If somebody is listening to this whole thing, drop a list for Zayu to watch. And I've probably watched
It's
a
gonna
lot
be
of
a
them,
very
so we
long
could talk
list.
about it.
Yeah, no spoilers, please. Um, Anything else?
Yeah, no spoilers. Yes.
Oh, this is the first
Um,
episode that we're recording post reading break, which was several weeks ago. And by the time you're watching this, which is
mhm.
going to be posted a week or two after we're recording this, it's going to be an even longer time ago. So we're back in it after taking a short break to kind of, well, for me, focus on school and, you know, focus up a little bit, I guess, de-stress maybe. At this point, I'm confident to say that we have an intro because back when I was recording
Do
all the
we?
other
Do
ones,
you?
I didn't know like at what point they would be posted, so like what I would have ready for each of them, and I was working on like the channel banners and like stuff like that. At this point,
Right,
we have
right.
an intro. We've used it a bunch of times now. We may have an outro. It's still in the works. The intro is much cooler. No one stays to the end anyway, so it doesn't matter. Um,
So sad.
and
We'll get there. We'll
yeah,
get there. We'll get there.
and yeah, we might experiment with a couple things in the future, like some different editing. Like at this point, I'll have to like overlay up with the background and like our names are along the bottom. Might experiment a little bit with different editing, the small stuff, transitions between the intro and like the video.
It's the little things that make a
Yeah,
difference, is
little
what we
things.
learned.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at this point, we're like a little bit more settled into like the format. I know how to edit all the videos now, and we'll just go up from here. That's it for me for housekeeping.
I don't know. Zayu got me a mic. That's why you could probably hear me. That's cool. Thanks, dude.
I did
Helped me a
purchase
lot
her-
actually for like work and stuff. I tutor kids, so
I did purchase her a microphone. Don't be expecting
Yes.
a birthday gift.
it's fine.
Shit was costly. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. YouTube chapter. Right there.
Okay.
Today's topic is going to be. That was a drum roll. I couldn't tell if you could hear it. Regrets.
You can.
Oh, that's nice. Regrets.
I don't know if they heard that. Yes. Oh, regrets.
Regrets. The general topic of regret. Things that we regret doing. I'm tempted to say as a child, but if you regret something you did last week, feel free to share. Same kind of
Yeah,
structure
joining this podcast.
as before. I gave Cass a heads up so she could have a little bit of time last night.
For once.
Yeah, for once.
For once.
To think about some stuff that we want to talk about. So maybe this time the discussion will be a little bit more structured. But at the same time, I haven't shared with her like questions I want to be asking or anything on my side, so we can still keep the discussion kind of genuine, I guess. I think it makes sense to list a bunch of things that we regret from our past, from various different scales, right? So things that are like really small, it's almost funny how dumb it was, to things that like you really genuinely like cringe over thinking back on it, and then have each other pick like which ones we want to talk about or go into.
Whoa, wait. This goes against what I was going to say
Which was?
because I do not have a list of things that I regret.
Guess what?
How about you go
Me
first?
neither. I also
What?
don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Cool,
relying
cool,
on
cool,
Cass
cool,
for this
cool.
episode because I
Oh shit.
live with no regrets.
I'm regretting this. I'm regretting this. Okay, no, I'm kidding. I guess okay, firstly to answer the question, like seriously, I don't really have regrets per se. Or like a lot of the choices I'm not talking about like the little ones, like in general, like the bigger adult choices that I've made. I don't regret them, but I do like wish I handled them differently. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Which I'm sure everybody
Yes,
goes
yes.
through, but it's like, it's like when you think about it at night, it keeps you up and you're like,
Yeah,
Like, even if it's trivial, it's like, that was embarrassing, but okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't really necessarily have a list unless we're going to talk about like really minor sitcom-y things. Like, okay, the joke is for me is that like I live in a sitcom, just like my luck is really bad and I have a lot of like really minor things happen to me, but all the time. But so like if we're gonna talk about that, then my regret would be going outside ever. But that's not really
You are
the
pretty
case.
unlucky.
So
That's true, actually.
yeah,
Okay,
yep.
better idea then. Immediate change of plans. You've already kind of given us your view on like feeling regret in your life in general and your like attitude towards it. I'll share mine because I have it's not really a hot take. It's more of like life advice, I guess. Because I feel very much the same way. I don't really live with too many regrets, and I have kind of a particular reason for that. And I think once we kind of both get that out, anyone listening knows, okay, these two people don't actually have a list of things that they like, think about at night and are like, oh shoot, I regret this. I wish I could go back in time and just like undo this entire thing. But there are a lot of things that we wish we handled differently, right? And if maybe
Is this
given the
clickbait
opportunity-
then?
maybe.
There's people
Maybe.
people are trying to get dirt on us and then we're like,
Yeah. 5 minutes
like-
in, we've decided, actually, no. Okay, so for me, my view on regret is I don't really regret anything that I've done in my life. With a few, well, major exceptions, I suppose, right? A few outliers, we can call them.
Right, right.
Because my mentality has
Yeah.
always been that I was not any dumber 3 years ago than I am now. I was a lot less knowledgeable
Hmm.
about a lot of things. I maybe was a lot less mature, but in that moment, 3 years ago, whatever I did, I made the best choice, the choice that I thought was best in the moment. And anytime you're looking back with the power of retrospect, it's always 2020, right? Retrospect's always 2020, and you're always going to be able to see factors that you weren't able to see previously when you were actually in the situation. So for me, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to regret a lot of things you did, because in the moment when you did those things, you did what you thought was best.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
yeah,
totally agree. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And so I actually see it like almost the exact same way you do. But to build on top of that, like when I think about like regret itself, I think it's quite like paradoxical,
mm,
you know? Like it's very like in general, like when you regret something, and I'm not talking about like something awkward happened, like if you chose to do something and it like greatly affected you emotionally, it caused you a lot of grief, right? I think it's odd. Like it sucks, obviously, but you also need it to grow and become a better
yeah,
person.
yeah,
So it's kind of like yes, it's a necessary evil, but it's like obviously we wish we didn't have to learn that way,
yeah.
even though
That's how you learn.
that's how it goes. Yeah, and I think being able to regret your actions on something means that you have the ability to reflect,
Hmm.
as you were saying, and like reflect and recognition is half the battle.
Yeah, yeah,
Like if you are sitting here right now and you're like, yeah, I don't regret anything. I did everything perfectly. It's like probably not the case.
yeah,
You're probably not focusing on the right things per se.
yeah,
So yeah, like I think being able to reflect and regret and obviously being proactive and then learning from your mistakes, I think those are two different things.
hmm,
However, I do think that you can't learn and be proactive and become a better person if you can't regret
yeah,
and reflect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point we're kind of arguing over the semantics of the word regret, because for us it's really
Mhm.
like an opportunity for you to look at mistakes you've made in the past, or things that you regret in the past, and learn from those experiences, rather than reflecting on those experiences and just being like, oh god, I wish that didn't happen. If I could go back in time, I would like undo that or something
Yeah.
along those lines. And yeah, I was actually just about to talk about exactly what you said with like learning from your mistakes, right? A lot of the things that I would typically say I regret doing in the past, I would not. I don't want to say it right now because that spoils something I want to like talk about later on. But
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to undo them, because I'm happy with where I am now in life, and where I am now in life is simply a culmination of all my previous experiences, and everything that's ever happened to me has led me to this point right here, right now. So I have no idea whether changing one tiny thing, 5 years ago would have led to me not doing this podcast because of a variety of reasons. Butterfly effect.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
in that
agree with the
sense,
same.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree too. Um, yeah, like want to give an example of that? I don't mind giving an example of that.
No, you go ahead.
I have a vague example. Um, I guess one of the things that I regret, that I actually do regret somewhat, it'll make more sense as I tell the story, but I think as I was younger, I didn't really tell people anything that much, like about my life per se. And as Zayu has learned recently, um, like I keep a lot of myself hidden away just for like a lot of different reasons, but that's just who I became. And so as I have grown older and I have like met much more people, um, I've learned that like, oh, maybe like I would have benefited from telling somebody my problems rather than just like bottling it, keeping it, and um, like even though I didn't really have anybody to tell it to per se, I should have
Hmm.
told someone. Yeah, but at the same time, if I were to relive my life, I would live it exactly the same because because I didn't tell anyone, now I have a lot of empathy for people who do the same.
Yeah.
Like I understand how easy it is to hide things,
Hmm.
how easy it is to act like you're fine. Um, I understand how much somebody can hide from their friends. So it's kind of like, okay, like I hurt or I was hurting for a long period of time. But I do think it was worth it. But it's all perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's actually very cool that you're able to reflect on that and realize that if you hadn't lived through those experiences specifically, you would not have that same level of empathy for other people who are perhaps in the same situation. Because it'd be pretty
Yeah.
easy to say, if given a magical time machine, the ability to, you would go back and simply do the opposite of what you regret. Because obviously
Hmm.
you eliminate that problem. But that changes a lot of other aspects of your life as well. Okay, so let's move it along. Sorry for coughing in the middle of your monologue. I was choking on water, actually, because I'm an incompetent human being.
Oh, we do that already.
Let's talk about. Yeah, pretend she didn't say that. Uh, Things that we wish we could have changed how we approached. Right? Maybe there are some things that you realized over time, and now you're at a stage where you're like, oh yeah, I totally feel this way, but I kind of wish I knew this last year because then I would have approached this situation differently, and then this would have changed. We don't regret
Yeah.
many things per se in our life, but what are some things that you definitely wish you approached differently, or not that you would hit the undo button, but would hit the redo button and try it again in a different way?
Hmm.
This could be anything. This could be related to work, related to school, related to personal relationships, right? Friendships, romantic relationships, related to
Right.
family, whatever.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, I think for me in general, this is like my general relationships with people.
Mm.
Um, if you, which you probably don't know me that well, but if you're listening and you don't know me that well, I very TLDR, I did not believe in the term friendships for, again, lots of different reasons why. Like, people in my life were just people who came and go. And as I think back to it, it was because it was a defense mechanism. Like, it's hard when you are not friends with people anymore. It's hard when you care about people and you just grow apart. It's like not necessarily anything bad happened per se, but it hurts, right? It's hard. And yeah, so it's definitely a defense mechanism now that I'm thinking about it. But because I viewed my relationships with people like that, it was very easy for me to just drop people per se.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's it's very easy for me even now to accept like, oh, we don't talk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just move on, just keep going, right? And that's, I wish I wasn't like that, but that's who I have been, and that's one of those things that's gonna be a really hard to grow out of, and b just like that's just part of who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the thing that I regret is that like I I think like for me it's very easy to just disappear off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I wish I had learned how much not saying anything still hurts people. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's not what I said, it's what I didn't say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes a
Yeah.
little bit too
Is it
much
getting
sense.
better? Yeah, like is it getting better? not really, but it's definitely been better since last year. So it's like I will take the little wins, but I do know that I am like this. Yes, yeah. So yeah, it's not what I said,
Interesting.
it's what I haven't said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually kind of toyed with the thought, like thinking about what you just said and
Mhm.
relating that to my experiences. I moved schools a few times. From like elementary school, I moved to a different city for school, and then for high school, I went
Right.
to a high school in another different city. And so I both times I didn't know a single person when I was like heading into the new school. And so for me, I think as well, a lot of people kind of just came and went. And because when I moved to elementary schools, I wasn't. I sound like a boomer now. Technology wasn't even as accessible as it is now. I didn't like have everyone on
Yes.
Facebook when I was in grade
Yes.
six, like, before I moved schools and stuff like that.
MSN.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
had like two people's emails, I guess. I
Hmm.
didn't really keep in touch with any of them, transitioning from elementary school. And then I didn't have Facebook until like grade nine or something like that into high school. So I didn't keep in
Same.
touch very
Yeah, me
much
too. Hmm.
with the other elementary school friends from the one I moved to in grade six and seven. And so I think I also treated kind of friends as people that just came and went. If someone like, didn't talk to me anymore, it'd be like, ah, that's okay. Like it happens. It's like that. And although I
Yeah.
haven't thought back and, regretted that way of viewing things, now thinking about it, there's quite possibly a lot of friendships that I let die out or that could have been something really special till present day if I had put in a little bit more effort, or approached that differently. And definitely that kind of perception of friends being, oh, they come and go, along with like being really hard on myself, led to one thing that happened that I really regret, like with a fallout with a friend, but that I will not talk about because
Yes.
it's really
No.
personal. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, very interesting how that like ties in. I'll try to do my best to give one for me. I really wanted to avoid talking about this example I'm about to use as well, for
Mhm.
different reasons. But I really wanted to find one for like work or like school or something like that. But I can't. When this question is asked, I just can't divorce myself from the thought of relationships.
Yeah. Before you start, I hopefully you don't lose your train of thought. I think, like me too, I was trying to like do, okay, let's do school one, let's do like something like not so, but it's like it's hard because it's not work or trivial things that define who you
Yes,
are.
yeah, absolutely agree. I was just about to say
It's
the same thing.
Yeah, it's the relationships you create with other people who defines you, right? So
Yeah,
like if you're listening still, and if something like a friendship or a fallen friendship or whatever is really bothering you, like it's valid.
mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up for it
Yeah,
because it's hard.
yeah,
It's really hard.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So go on, go on.
No, absolutely. Like it makes
Mhm.
sense that our first thoughts wouldn't be things like work and school if those weren't the most important aspects of our personality, right? If our most
Mhm.
important memories, our most cherished memories are from personal relationships, then those are going to be the ones that we like have regret over if we did something that we wish we didn't do or did something that we wish we approached differently. For me, talking about like romantic relationships, I want to preface this by saying like obviously this is not about the other person. I am only focusing on like my perspective of things, um, because obviously at this point in the podcast, if you're listening, high chance you could narrow down who I'm talking about in a in a
If you know
very
us,
short,
if you
yeah,
know us.
a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
short list of people. I haven't exactly been around with a
Or
lot of
maybe you
people.
have.
No, actually, I haven't. So, um, I think relationships are super interesting to talk about because you learn a lot from them. I mean, you hopefully learn a lot from them when you
Mhm.
like end relationships and then move on to future ones. And there's one in particular that I'm thinking of that I by no means regret the relationship in and of itself. I feel that's a terrible way to approach things, because you're really just saying that you like what, you didn't enjoy a single second of your time spent with this person. You wasted a year, 2 years, 3 years. Like I would never regret like a relationship like that, like friendship or like romantic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also learned a ton from that. Like so much about myself and relationships. Like, what do I want from a relationship? What do I like in a relationship? What do I not like in a relationship? And I definitely took that into my next relationship, and all future ones after that, right? Do I wish I could have approached things differently if I had the opportunity to go back? Maybe, because there was a lot of pain for both sides, and if that could have been avoided, I mean, in an ideal world, obviously I want to do that. But does that take away from some of the lessons I learned? Did I need that suffering high
Yes.
school relationships
Yes.
to learn a lot of those hard lessons?
Yes.
Maybe, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to look back now and be like, okay, well, that feels like forever ago. So I can theorize or fantasize about whatever I want, and it doesn't make a difference anyways. But
Which is to say, if you're in high school and dealing with a breakup, it passes.
yeah,
Passes.
yeah. We'll save relationship advice for future episode. But like, yeah, I mean, time does its thing. It kind of just moves along, and you can't stop it. So eventually, it passes. Um, I don't know. I don't know what else to say without like going into too much detail, which I don't want to go into because
Hmm.
it's about other people
Yeah,
and
no.
personal. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it definitely, I think the biggest thing that we both keep mentioning here really is perspective
mhm.
and how important that is. A lot of things, like, I tell you this a lot of time. Like, if you can cut slack for other people, you can cut slack for yourself.
Mm,
You don't have to be so hard on yourself. Like, if you are not going to get mad at other people for not being perfect, get mad at yourself.
yeah,
Why would you set yourself up for failure like that? To
yeah,
say it bluntly.
yeah,
Like, yeah, like, you know, we all make mistakes, right? Like, you have to accept that you also make mistakes. And that, I don't know, I guess also, like, I'm a pretty firm believer in that, like, everything happens for a reason.
mm,
And so, like, whatever your mistakes are right now, it's going to benefit you later. And I think one way to think about it also, sorry, is that like sometimes we go through things and it lasts a long time, right? That's just how it goes. It might be like the death of a family member, a breakup, whatever, whatever. Right. I think I, how should I explain this? I want to say that your experiences one day will help another person. Makes sense. As you meet people and as you get to know others,
yeah,
you're eventually going to have close friendships, whatever, right? Whatever you're feeling right now, once you get over it, you're going to meet somebody who's going through the exact same thing as you, right? And then it'll be kind of like therapy for both of you,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
You're helping this person and you're receiving like validation from the other
yeah,
person, being like, okay, what I'm feeling, I was not crazy
yeah,
at that time,
yeah,
right? Yeah. Yeah. So like get through it. It's worth it. When you get past things that are bothering you, it's makes you more special because now you can help other people going through the same thing.
yeah. I think that's a
Yeah.
really nice way to put it, because that if you can really adhere to that perspective of regret, it changes your entire outlook on all of your past experiences. If you can head into like your future, right, however old you are right now, head into your future without feeling just massive regret over certain things that you've done and have that like weigh on your conscience 24/7, uh, you know, in the future, it frees you like mentally. It's like being unshackled, right? You don't have to keep
Yeah.
feeling like you're living in the past, like shackled by regret. You
Mhm.
change that to actually these experiences that I regret right now might be helpful, or if you want to be more optimistic, will be helpful both to myself and to other people. I can learn from my
Mhm.
previous actions, and I can also, exactly as Cass said, bring this into conversations with new people that I meet and share my experiences with them so that they either don't make the same mistakes that I did, or they, I don't know, reconsider certain choices they're making at the time. They can receive validation for certain struggles that they're going through, stuff like that. I really like how you mentioned that your experiences can help other people because you'll meet people that are going through similar experiences, and so you can just see yourself as a guide. Once you've moved past these difficult situations, look to see how can I help other people who are going to be facing similar issues.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to find some sort of motivation to get past things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's way easier said than done. It's really hard when all of that is clouding your vision,
Mm-hmm.
but it it's always worth it to force yourself out of bed and work past it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to meet somebody who is going to need your eventual expertise
Mm-hmm.
through that grief. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm somewhat surprised at the way that this conversation has gone with how we started super broad, general, discussing concepts, theories, philosophies,
Mhm.
and now we probably want to narrow it down and give a couple more examples. When I thought originally the discussion would probably be the other way around, where we get more and more towards our final thoughts and stuff like that. But I think an
Mhm.
easy topic for us to talk about, unless you've got like something you think will be relevant to both of us and we can discuss for a while
Mhm.
longer,
Mhm.
is views about things like school and work, because those are things that, although we established, are not the most impactful on our lives compared to friendships, relationships, family, stuff like that. School is something that a lot of people wish they could go back and just make different choices, right? Tell their younger self
Yeah.
certain things. Do you have any examples that are, at the tip of your tongue?
S- Hold on. What do you mean by school?
Like education wise, right?
Like
A lot
things
of
that happened
people,
in school?
no, a lot of people are like, if
Education.
I could go back in time, I would tell my high school self, your grades don't matter. Or, you know, stop
Okay, okay, I
shooting
see,
for
I
this
see.
school because you can't afford it anyways. And, you have a very naive
Yeah.
view of the world because you think that you can just get into Harvard and then get a degree and then boom, like someone's at your doorstep literally begging you for a multi-million-dollar job. Like your conception, uh, yeah, your view of the
Mhm.
world is very naive and,
Small.
yeah, small,
Yes.
very small, immature, underdeveloped,
Ooh,
whatever.
that's a good question.
Is there
Hmm.
anything, kind of on the practical side, moving away from relationships, that you would go
The
back in time and just, slap some sense into yourself and be like, hey, you might think that this track meet is extremely important, but like, it's
Mhm.
not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is.
I
Maybe you think
think
about this for the rest of your life and you're like, I can't believe I got second. Shouldn't have eaten that, I don't know, banana.
no. Hey. Okay, no, I'm not gonna make a joke at the moment, but hmm. I think I'm kind of in a weird position because I didn't give a shit about school. If you watched the second episode, I think is it when we talked about careers, you can see that me and Zayu had vastly different experiences in
Yeah,
high school.
pretty different.
Mhm. But what I will say, which is pretty general, is that your grades don't matter. I cannot stress how much or how important it is to remember that. Like, yes, eventually, like, it'll help to have good grades, right? Like, if you want to go into sciences, business, whatever, and you want to get into a decent school, okay, yes, your grades matter. But, like, one failed test doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
right? One missed assignment, unless you purposely didn't do, like, if you missed an assignment
Mm-hmm.
per se, right? And but it was because you were like going through things, like it doesn't matter. Like, um, I think this kind of leads into me saying this. Care more about your well-being
Mm-hmm.
than grades. Like, naturally, not everybody's going to get straight A's, right? It's nice to get straight A's, but like, you have to think of it in a way where it's scaled to your abilities and your mental well-being right now. Does that make sense so
Yep.
far?
Yep.
Yeah, like
Yep.
like if you're going through a lot of things, you cannot expect yourself to get straight A's. It doesn't matter if you're in high school, it doesn't matter if you're in university. Getting straight A's is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard, right? Um, I think Zayu and I are both somebody or both people who did get good grades, so you might be listening to this knowing us and being like, ah, it's easy for you guys. But it's like, we set aside our mental well-being, right?
Yes.
A
To do
lot.
that. My
And would
physical
you, and I'll
well-being
ask you
too.
this. Yeah, 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 and I'll ask you this. Was it worth it?
No, because it didn't get
Yeah,
me
exactly.
like that. Yeah, like what Cass said, the that extra one test didn't get me this much farther along in
To
life.
Harvard.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. It wasn't
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
missed assignment that I stayed up an all nighter to do that got me into Harvard. Right. So
Hmm.
was it
Like,
worth it? Yeah.
obviously, there's times, right? If you're failing the class, then okay, like maybe you need to like push a little harder,
Mm-hmm.
finish it off, at least pass,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, there's a saying that my teacher would always say, like um the difference between here and here is you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're here and you're aiming to get here, right? Like, how much of a difference does that really make?
Yep.
Right? Like, if you can get to that like tiny bit higher position without um without sacrificing anything, like your mental health, physical health, whatever, then by all means do it, right?
Yeah.
You should shoot for the best that you can be. However, if you are deteriorating because of it, is it worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of things there to unpack. Um, I have very much the same view. I'll offer kind of a slightly different opinion just for the sake of discussion, and from like my experiences, which are again in high school quite different from Cassidy's. Uh, I love the last example you gave of to get that extra 10%. Is that within your ability to reasonably do without risking some sort of deterioration of mental or physical health? School, like academics, studying, is not for everyone. It's not the same experience for everyone. You have people who really, really struggle with subjects that other people are like, this comes naturally to me. And everyone knows that. You knew that when you were in like grade 5. You could tell that your friend sitting across the room was just better at math. Like it
Me, that's
should be
exactly
clear.
me.
It should be clear. But for some reason, everyone still pushes themselves to compete at a standardized scale because I don't know, that's how the education system works, for whatever reason. That's how your parents pressure you to do things. That's how the society around you pressures you to do things.
I think as a human, also, you're just naturally a little bit
Yeah,
competitive.
sure.
Yeah.
And that as
Yeah.
well, right?
Mhm.
If we take a completely hypothetical example, you have two people, one person gets 95% in school naturally putting in a minimal effort. If another person naturally attains an 80% and has to push themselves really to achieve even an extra 10%, let it alone a 15%, the amount of work going into achieving a 95 for the two of them are completely different, right? And that's just with two people. When you spread that across the entirety of children in the education system, it's not worth it if you're someone who achieves 65% in school and you're trying to push yourself to get a 95, right? Because the amount of sacrifice you have to make to get that 95, it's just inconceivable, right? And that's not to discourage anyone from trying in school or pushing yourselves, academically, because for some people it's really interesting. For some people, they want to be competitive with other people. For some people, they want to be competitive with themselves, and that's awesome. But if your only reason of doing that is because you have no other goal in mind other than the sake of competition and achieving an arbitrary grade, it's not worth it if you're sacrificing your health for that. And that goes all the way back to a point that I wanted to mention when Cass was talking about how, grades don't matter. Because you have two camps of people, right? Some people will say grades don't matter, right? And it's like, entrepreneurs, I started $1 million business, grades don't matter. I dropped out of Harvard, I did this stuff myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people will be very practical and say, okay, look, that's just a lie. You simply cannot, it's not true that grades don't matter, because a lot of grades are standardized, sort of, and a lot of job opportunities, like university admissions, stuff like that, their admittance is contingent on your grades. They have to be. There's no other way to get to know you, right? They can't spend 1 year getting to know you and decide whether you're a good fit for the company. I just got to look at your GPA from university and yes or no.
You can't write like 5 essays and read all of them for like thousands of people. Yeah.
But, right, and Cass and I are also in very different fields, where for me, like getting into business school, grades were important because the admission rate for Sauder is low. And your grades kind of matter if you want to go into MBA programs, if you want to go into law school, med school, like stuff like that, right? However, I will still somehow twist this and agree with Cass's thought that grades don't matter. Yes, grades matter practically, but you have to be very, very honest with yourself in terms of what your goal is. If my goal is to become a doctor, what do I need to do to become a doctor? Okay, well, I need to get into med school. What do I need to do to get into med school? Okay, well, I might need this as my, what is it? Minimum, like, admission grade average.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to give a number because I'm scared I'd be terribly off. It's probably like freaking 96 or something.
Probably. And 100%.
Yeah, it's 102. Probably. And you might want to get a little bit higher than the minimum admission standard and make your application a little bit more competitive, right? But that's, the grades matter there because you have a very, very clear goal in mind, step by step. This is what I have to do, and thus I have to reach this checkpoint in order to achieve my goal. So yes, grades do matter there, right? If you don't have a goal like that in mind, and you're just like, well, I want to get into business school. Why do you want to get into business school? My mom, my dad wanted me to, right? That's not a, I don't know, noble goal that you're striving for, right? Like that's just short-sighted. I don't know what to do with my life, so I'm gonna.
I'm just trying to go somewhere.
I'm trying to go somewhere
for the sake of surviving right now. Exactly. Yes,
and that's still not saying that that's not a good thing, that you're trying to get a certain average to get into a good school or something like that. It's just that if you're sacrificing, again, it's always a balance. If you're sacrificing other parts of your physical or mental well-being to achieve this goal, that is not your life goal. It's just you don't know what else to do, so you set an arbitrary goal for yourself. It's not worth it. And even if, right, because this is still on the topic of regret, and, if I could go back and tell my younger self something, what would I say? Even if you are that person who wants again to become a doctor, go into med school, you know exactly, what admission standards you have to achieve in order to even have a shot at getting into the school that you want to get into. When you're applying for university and stuff like that, or let's say you're one of those really competitive people, you want to go to the States for, the best school, best education in a certain field, you're preparing when you're in like grade 9 or 10 at the very latest, right? Because we know US schools will go that far back. You as a 14 or 15-year-old, do you really know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life? I mean, okay, maybe. I'll always put a maybe because there are some people who do.
Yeah, right? Some people do know, yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure I believe that. I feel like some people only do it and then find out, like confirm their own beliefs that they wanted to do that, right? I thought I wanted to do business and I got into business school. And luckily, I discovered HR, which I'm really passionate about and I like it. But if you asked me at 15 years old, Zaiyou, do you want to be a human resources professional? What the fuck is that? Like, I don't know. Maybe. Right? The fact that it worked out for me is really just because I decided to go in that direction and things like fell into place. And it was like
Mhm.
I don't know, like a self-fulfilling prophecy or something, I guess. I don't, I wouldn't be 100% certain with, or, sure of someone at 14 years old saying, yep, grades are everything because I know I want to be a doctor. I've, I came out of the womb dreaming about being a doctor, and I have nothing but posters of admission standards, yeah,
Anatomy.
anatomy, human anatomy up on my wall. Like, you know, I don't buy that. So defining yourself by grades, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
not really a good way of doing things, right? And
Yeah.
this reminds me of a very short story, which I will share because it's quite funny. In IB, the International Baccalaureate High School program that I did, every single year without fail, IB graduates come back to the school. Hey guys, I did IB Q&A session. If you have any questions, let us know. We're gonna offer one tip for you, just a general tip before we start. Your grades don't matter. You're gonna look back on your all-nighters in 2 years, and you're going to regret it because you sacrificed your mental and physical well-being, and you got into UBC anyways, and you'll just regret it. And year after year, without fail, no one would care about what these people were saying. And you know exactly why. Because they can only live in the short term. They can only live in their reality, their present, which is God, everyone around me is so competitive and I need to
Keep up. Yes.
45 in IB. And
Must beat
yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
And then you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And you go back to those talks a year after and try to convince everyone a year or two younger than you that the grades don't matter. And before you even start talking, you've already accepted the fact that none of them are going to give a shit because
And
that
no
was
one's
you.
listening already.
Yeah.
Because they were expecting that
Yeah,
answer.
they've already tuned out.
Yes.
They're doing their homework.
Yep. Yeah, that's just how it goes.
That is how it goes.
Yeah, that's how we like. This is actually what I was going to bring up a bit earlier. Just a quick statement. Like, you can listen as much as you want, but you never truly learn until you've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think also, like, I think for me, I'm somebody who likes to listen a lot of the time, and I like to observe. Um, and so again, like looking back at some of the things that I wish I had done differently, I'm kind of like, I knew better. I've seen people do this, and I did the same thing, and I literally knew better, and I told myself I would not do it, and here we are.
Yeah.
I, it's the same thing, like, as, yeah, it's just, I even have to tell myself, like, hey, you can't be so hard on yourself. Because, like, again, I didn't live through it until now.
Yeah.
Will I make the same mistakes? No.
Nope.
Right?
I'll learn
But
from them.
yeah, yeah, but I had to live through it. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm. I want to try something.
Okay.
I got an idea for something that we can do, but I will
Okay.
let you first. Let me know if there's any topics that you want to talk about before I do this, because it'll be the end of the show kind of thing, you know?
Okay. Let me think. Let me think. Um, I don't know. We didn't. I'm pretty okay with what we talked
Okay,
about
yeah. I mean,
so
recap.
far.
We,
Yeah.
I tried to ask like, what are some things that we both regret, and then it turns out, 5 minutes into the show, we actually don't live with regrets. We have a very mature view of things.
And cut.
Yeah, and
That's it. Done.
that's it. Wrap it up. So, okay, last thing I think would be fun. We said at the very start, generally, save for a few outliers, we don't regret many things that happen in our lives, right? If we were given the opportunity, this is the clickbait title, right? If you're given the opportunity to go back
Okay.
and undo some of the things that you did in your past, would you? No, not for me. Nope. Head shake from
Neither
Cass.
am I. Yeah.
A couple things I may want to redo. I might risk the butterfly effect, just change a couple variables up, see what it does. Yeah, I'd say for one or two huge outliers, like I would not go back and undo anything. learn from our mistakes. You know, you made the best decision you could in the moment, given the information that you had, and you just have to accept that and trust that you did what was best for yourself in the moment, or what you thought was best for yourself in the moment, and there's nothing you can do to go back in time and change that. But we also mentioned sometimes it's just little things that you wish you could undo, right? It's just like the awkward exchanges that you're like, God, why did I say you two to the movie theater attendant who said enjoy your show, right? Like, why did I say you two to the waiter who said enjoy your food? You know, we're gonna rapid fire back and forth.
I have so many of these.
We're gonna rapid fire back and forth. We're gonna give examples of small, tiny things that we wish we could go back and redo or undo until we run out, and that's the end of the show.
Okay, I'm gonna forget this one, so I'm gonna go first.
Okay, go.
Okay. Wait, this is not. I probably need some time to think about other ones, but I have lots of these stories.
Better.
Okay, so number one.
We end the show when one of us hesitates, so think fast.
Okay, number one. I, for some reason, had to call the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to the teller, blah, blah, blah. Everything's fine. Right? He's like, oh, if you want to fix this right away, I'll transfer you to somebody else. Like that's has more expertise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't really remember, but then I must have said like, oh no, that's okay. But I meant to say, oh, that would be great, thank you, right? So then, anyway, we talk some more, and he's like, oh, you're fine, okay. And then we say bye, and he hangs up, right? But I'm still on the phone, and I'm like,
is he gonna transfer me?
So I was like, wait, do I just hang up now? And then those calls are recorded, right? Because like for security reasons. So I was like, I wait for like another 30 seconds. I'm like, okay. And then I went on my day, and I was like,
did you have to call back to get it sorted out?
I didn't.
Oh, they got it sorted out. Okay.
Yeah. Nope. All right.
Yep.
Yep.
I have one that like literally eats at my conscience. I was refereeing for water polo. God, what a fever freaking dream. And I was the worst water polo referee of all time. I could only be trusted reffing like, oh God, what was the age group? Like U12s or something like that, or like people like under 12 years old, because their games don't really matter, and I could not be trusted with anyone older than that, even though I was like certified to do like older than that. I was so bad. I had so little experience, both, I mean, I had some experience playing, but compared to the other guys, so little experience playing and refereeing. I'm tempted to give you the specific example of what I did wrong, but obviously it would not make sense to a single person watching this, so I'm not even going to bother. I basically made a call that was so bad that another person who I knew personally, who was playing in the game, had to come up to me afterwards and be like, Zaiyou, I know I'm biased because like I was playing on the team, but like I'm a referee too, and that was just a shitty call. And I was like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it really was. I don't want to talk about it. Ease out my conscience.
Man.
I really got my fingers crossed that Cass has got another one, because this would be a really sad segment to the show. They're gonna check the YouTube trackers. It's like 2 minutes long.
I do have another one. I have a lot, but it's just kind of like, do I want to say?
Small things. Coffee shop
Small things.
interactions.
Okay. All right. So, as you may know, Zaiyou and I play frisbee. We play ultimate.
Previously.
Yes. 1 year. 1 year I was the captain, or I was a captain, and I got roasted a lot for just like not really saying much. So like basically what you have to do when you play frisbee is like you flip who starts on offense.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. You just have to know that all the captains from both teams will beat up.
Cass. I got the YouTube analytics.
Yes.
All our viewers, frisbee players. Don't worry about it.
Amazing. Perfect. Good. Okay, so the other two girls on my team would roast me because I would never say anything. So yeah, so they're like, okay, this time Cass, like, you do it. I'm like, no, I can't, right? It's like, wait, just do it, Cass. And I'm like, okay, right? So I have the disc. They were playing Bonfire. And as you may know, like Bonfire doesn't really like misfit, right? So I'm like,
Wow, we're
okay.
going really
I was like,
deep into historical
I
context between the two
know it's
ultimate
so
frisbee
bad.
teams.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Okay, anyway, so I went, right? I'm holding the disc. And I'm just standing there and they're throwing and they're all staring at me. At this point, the two other girls, this is the same like the year we played on the same team, so you know who I'm talking about, right? So like
The other two
you?
captains?
Yeah.
I don't remember who's captain on your teams. I think I know one of them,
Oh.
but I don't remember the other one.
Like
It's okay.
okay, anyway, I'll tell you after. And then so like I'm standing there with the disc, holding it with two hands, and I'm just like awkwardly staring, right? The other two are like dying of secondhand embarrassment, and then finally one is like, "Okay, okay, Cass, just can we flip?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yes, that right." So like the people come, and I don't even think I waited for them to say anything. I just like threw the disc up, and then they were like, "Who's calling?"
Intimidated by the people. You didn't even call aside. You call up or down, up or down, heads or tails.
Everybody's like, "What is she doing?" And I was like, "I'm just sorry."
Can we rewind the story and just discuss why were you captain?
I don't know.
That's not your like only job as a captain is to, like flip. I don't
Okay,
know.
I literally like a girl older than us.
Yes.
There's three captains.
Yeah.
One is our age. The other one's older than
I
us.
remember the other
Yeah.
one. I remember the one that was older
Okay.
than us. I think I
So,
know who
so
it is.
the one older than us, as you know, very good leadership skills,
Yes.
was like like very good,
Yes.
right? The other one, very good and like logistically will like get everybody organized and stuff like that. And I'm just
I
like,
may know who that is. Okay.
I'm here. Like, go team. Yes. Yeah.
You know,
What
something
happened?
recently that I've been having more of is when I play. Okay, my turn. When I play video games, sometimes I'll go to bed and just be like, "How did I miss that shot? That like he walked right into my car. Should have been an easy clutch. I cannot believe I fucked that one up." That's it. Again, could go into
That's it.
detail, but all of like three people are gonna like understand. Maybe one of them was
Why
even
don't you
playing
just go
with me.
into
Like,
detail?
no, dude. There was like this one game, man. I lost 13-11. Like, someone has back turned to me. He was walking. I didn't shoot him.
Oh, I have another story.
Lost to a
I have
random
so
man.
many stories.
Go.
Is that all you wanted to say
Yeah, I.
about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I.
Okay, I have another one. Okay. In high school, I had like a couple friends. Like if I was friends with you, we were like close, right? And I had a lot of dude friends. I was just I don't know. And so
Yeah, she's cool like that.
no. Anyway, so there's one teacher. Um, she knows my uncle because they went to the same like church group
Yeah,
fellowship
she's popular like
fellowship.
that.
No, no, anyway. So like she knew me as like so and so's niece, right? So like I never had her as a teacher, but like whenever I saw her, she'd be like, "Oh, like hi Cassidy, blah blah, blah. How's Uncle so and so doing?" It's like, "Oh, he's good, yeah." Stuff like that, right? From grade 8 to 12 it was always like that. I just never had her class. Anyway, so I'm with my friend in the library and then like cuz we had the same spare block, like we would just be in the library like looking at applications or just like digging around on the computers, you know how it be, right?
How it
And
be?
so yeah, so she's also like the librarian, like one of the teacher librarians as well. So like anyway, she saw me and she's also in charge of like the Japanese exchange thing. So like so like every single year she's like, Cassidy, like I'm gonna get your uncle to pay for you to go on the Japanese exchange trip, blah blah blah. And I was like, no, it's fine. I don't really want to go. It's okay, you know, that type of thing, right? And then this time she comes up to us, right? We're in the computer lab in the library. She's like, oh, you know, like you really go to Japan? It's your last year. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to save money. Like Ultimate's really expensive, blah, 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 right? And she's like, oh, okay. And then she looks at my friend who's sitting beside me. He's listening. She's like, so is this your boyfriend, Cassidy?
What?
Yeah. And I was like, and everybody turns around, right? Because there's other people in there, but they're all people
Damn.
our age. And I was like, no.
She just killed you
No.
in cold
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, no. Like, no. And then he's like, no, we're not. And we're like, no, we're not. And then everyone's laughing. And I'm like,
Oh.
I'm gonna leave now.
No, you gotta okay,
Yeah.
but the thing is, in those situations, you have to temper your response because if you're too aggressive on the no, then that's hurtful. You know, that's
I
just that
know,
just
that's
hurts.
true.
You
I
can't be
know.
like, whoa,
I mean, that
whoa,
happened.
no, him, no.
I think that's what I did.
Yeah, that is something you'll do.
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
specific example.
I have
Let's come
another
back
one
to
of the
me.
same lines.
All right,
Okay.
Julie, if you're listening to this, I apologize for every dump throw I've ever thrown to you when we were in the
Huge.
vertical stack. God, it's been so long since I played LT. I'm sorry. I don't know why they were so bad. I don't know why they were particularly bad at the Saints invite when we were in like grade 12. I don't know why I put it so far behind that you like had to die for like half of them. It probably lost us at least one game against Hamburg. Just like single handedly, I threw.
Oh wait, can I intervene
Are you gonna roast my dump
for a
throws?
hot second? No, 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 I'm not, not. Like, I was watching your episode with Brian, and then
Oh
you were
fuck.
like, I just wanted to beat, I just wanted to beat Hamber, and then I was like, oh, everybody felt that.
Yeah. Hey,
Anyway,
if
go
anyone from
on, go
Hamburg's
on.
watching, I hate you. Anyways, next. Actually,
Damn.
I got close to it.
Okay, go on.
No, actually, was it? Yeah. Uh, uh,
Wow.
there's no recovery from that. If I could go back and just like beat Hamburg like once or twice, like I think that'd be pretty cool. But no regrets.
Okay, anyway,
No
going
regrets.
on. So Jude,
That's it. I just want to personally
that's
apologize
it.
to
You're just
her
apologizing to her.
for being a terrible handler in the vertical stack and screwing up our attacks or attacks, dude. Too much valor, screwing up our O's by throwing away the disc when she's trying to reset it for me. I can't like
Okay, okay. I have another
imagine
one that.
playing on a team with me and practicing doing dump cuts so I can reset to you only for me to completely screw you over in every in-game situation ever by throwing it too far ahead of you.
At least you're leading. At least you're leading.
I'm leading for a fucking the Flash is what I'm doing. I'm leading for a goddamn cheetah. Okay. I'm leading like
It's not to
13
say Julie
nautical
isn't
miles
fast.
in
It's
front
just
of her.
Zaiyou missed completely. That's funny. Okay, okay. I have another one that's frisbee related.
Please go.
Listen, I am not BM. I don't think.
You're kind of BM.
But this is. Oh, am I? I'm not.
I'm not gonna answer that. Continue.
Okay. Anyway, well, I think it's just the school I went to made it seem like I was.
Your school is very BM.
Yeah, I didn't care enough to be BM.
No comment. Move it along.
Okay. Anyway.
Don't want to dwell on that
Anyway,
one.
anyway. So, this is during. This is so bad. This is during Worlds. Um,
Okay, just flex
so
on me, I guess.
no,
Look at me. I went to
listen.
Canada. I went to
No,
Worlds.
no. Anyway, so we were playing semis. We lost. If you know anything to do with this loss, it like
Colombia.
yes. Anyway, yeah,
Oh,
we're
wow, I
playing
actually
Colombia.
remember.
Anyway, yeah. Okay. Anyway, everybody was upset for a lot of
Yes.
different reasons, not just because we lost, also just like other
Okay.
things.
Okay.
Um, so we lost, right? And then obviously upset, because like that team was very good for a junior team.
Did they have the
However, we just
Cardenas?
didn't. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. But like
that was
we
a
just
loss from the start. Like, why why even play?
anyway, so like we no, I'm talking about like our team, like TC. Yeah, anyway, so like we just didn't perform as well as we could have at Worlds, so that's
Mm-hmm.
why it was frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reasons for that, but anyway, so we lost. I'm like, okay, and then obviously I'm sad. Everybody's sad, and I was like, I'm hungry, like shit. I'm sad. I'm hungry. I'm going to get food right now. Like it totally slipped my mind that there's spirit circles after the game.
Ooh, so bad mannered.
I
Cassidy basically said not
know.
GG,
I
bad game,
I
and then just left.
no. Here's the worst part. Here's the worst part. Okay, like honestly, it wasn't because like I promise you, it was not because I didn't want to join
Yeah,
in.
okay.
It was because it just didn't cross my mind.
Dude, so
So
hangry. She just BM'd the other
I
team at
so I went to the
Worlds.
food tent. I went to the food tent, just like said hi to like Mexico, whatever. Okay, like pita, hummus, carrots, the like, right? And
Yes.
then I'm
Yeah,
like,
I know the like. Yeah, all three times
yeah,
I
and
went to
then
Worlds. Yeah, I remember just saying hi to Mexico. Yeah.
stop. Anyway, so I look up. I'm like, fuck, right? Like everybody's in a circle. They're already talking, and I was
It's on
like,
my team.
yeah, and I was like, shit, right? And like my dumbass joins in the middle of it.
Yeah, food
I
in
should have
hand.
just missed the
She
whole
should have just
thing.
missed the
And I
whole
was
thing
like,
and been like, "My bad, terrible stomachache. Had to run to the
yeah,
washroom." No.
exactly. And then I was like, oh my. Anyway, so if you are on, well, I mean, it doesn't matter to anybody, but like, I
If you're on
genuinely
Team
did not.
Columbia and you're watching this
Yeah.
podcast, Cass is
Okay,
sorry.
like, anyway, I genuinely did not mean to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just, yeah, that was bad. Anyway, my brother brought it up and was like, what happened to you? I was like, I genuinely forgot that there's a spirit circle after. Yeah.
Yeah, confirmed. Cass actually does not care about spirit of the game. All right, we're gonna cut it there. But,
I That's true. But I don't not care that much. I'm
well, thanks
retired.
for
I can say
coming to the
whatever I
Zoo and
want.
Co show. I'm gonna cut it before Cass says anything else that gets her canceled. Thanks for joining us.